This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Kevin Tucker and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic!
What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is July 17th, 2025. Jonathan Osborne here. And as always, joined by my co-host, Kevin Tucker. Kevin, what's going on?
Hey, not a whole lot, man. I know you have a lot going on. You got a big couple days coming up. I know. You want to share with the viewers your little annual getaway?
Yeah, it's the annual boys golf trip. Last year, we were in Orlando for 8 days. Last year, we hit Orange County National, Dubs Dread, and a little Winter Park Pines action. So if you're, local to Central Florida, or if you're local to Orlando, you might be familiar with some of those tracks. This year, the trip has doubled. We're up to 16, and we're headed to St. Augustine. So we're going to be playing some of the World Golf Village courses that are up there. The World Golf Hall of Fame is in St. Augustine. I didn't know that until, the last 4 or 5 months after we had really already planned the trip. And it's Ryder Cup style, teams and match play, all of that. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. It'll be a nice little getaway, kind of, recharge, and then you and I are going to get through like the dog days of the off season here after that.
Well, I was just going to say, we're recording this while the Magic are playing their fourth preseason, or not preseason, summer league game. So I may have misheard, but I want to, just in case, I want to maybe correct something. This is an 8-person trip, not an 8-day trip last year, and it's a 16-person trip this year. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, maybe I missaid. I might have missaid. Yeah, it was 8 guys last year, 16 guys this year.
I know. I think you said 8-day trip last year. We're doubling it to 16 this year, and I was like, wow, Jonathan, on a 16-day golf trip. No,
I would love that.
That would be fun. Yeah, 16 dudes.
I would come home and all my stuff would be on the front porch, and I'd have to record the pod from like a Super 8 motel or something.
Yeah. Again, maybe I misheard because I'm watching this thrilling matchup between the Orlando Magic and the Brooklyn Nets over here. But wow, 16 guys, and I didn't get an invite. That's interesting. That's
you don't golf.
I'll keep that. I'm just kidding. No, I know.
You don't golf. I've tried to get you and Luke to golf for a couple of years now, and you've been a little bit more receptive, but
Sure, yeah. If you would have invited me,
you pick up the sticks, and
if you would have invited me, I would have said no. So that's
well. Then there we go. Which I knew. So
yeah, I know.
But yeah, a little bit of Magic news. Not really much news. Just like a couple of things that have happened. Jordan Brand put out a photo a couple of days ago, like featuring a ton of their athletes. And Paolo Banchero posted to his Instagram a little bit earlier today on Wednesday as we're recording this, like this little snippet of like the Hard Knock Life, like the instrumental, of him like running back, holding up the L to his forehead. From what I've read and heard, it sounds like it's going to be kind of like a musical, this ad, which Kev, myself, unapologetically fans of musicals. So
that's right.
I think it's going to be pretty cool. I think that releases the 19th, so on Saturday. So looking forward to seeing that. Outside of that, Jeff Weltman did an interview with Sirius XM the other day where he was quoted talking about, the Magic's goals for this season. And it's not just to win the East, like it's to win the NBA. So obviously everybody sees the East as being wide open, but you can't just approach your roster construction as like, hey, we need to win our conference. You also have to be prepared for the teams that are on the other side of the bracket. So I even though I feel like we all kind of knew that, sometimes you do have to say that part out loud. But yeah, knowing that they're not only trying to win the conference, but they're trying to win everything. And the fact that, we talked about this with Paolo, that we're not hiding from that by any means. Like we want to go forward with the idea like to win everything. So that was pretty cool to hear.
Well, and it's also always nice to hear like the guy who's at the head of the basketball snake, if you will, for the Orlando Magic, who's known to be a little more quiet, a little more reserved, just come out and say something bold like that. Like, hey, that's not what we're about. That's great. And obviously that's a step in the right direction compared to where we've been, but winning the whole thing is the goal. And so I think that's really cool. I wanted to go back super fast, Jonathan, to the Jordan thing. Also just feel like we got to mention, there's two sides of this. It wasn't just Paolo. Jet was also a part of the Jordan thing. And so, don't want to be accused of playing favorites with the Magic roster by only mentioning Paolo. Jet Howard was also there. That's it.
Yeah. As you mentioned, we're recording this in the middle of the Magic Nets Summer League game. The Magic did lose their Summer League game on Tuesday to fall to 0-3 in Summer League. They lost 75-92 to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Remember when it was Orlando Magic blue, Orlando Magic white? It felt like there was like an Oklahoma City blue, Oklahoma City white, like back in like the older Summer League days. Yep. But the reason that this was notable and it also wasn't really a notable game because there was no Tristan da Silva, no Jace Richardson, no Noah Penda. So I had kind of just assumed that all three of those dudes were going to be shut down for the rest of Summer League. It seems like Tristan da Silva and Jace both have, as they are not playing in tonight's game against the Nets. But Noah Penda is, and so far through 10 minutes, 9 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 4 of 6 from the floor, 1 of 2 from behind the arc. So he's now, hit a couple of, I think that was his second three that he's hit.
And it was a beautiful step back three, by the way.
And they are down 12 right now with just over 3 minutes to go in the first half. So, we're really pretty quickly approaching the part of Summer League where, I know we've talked about it, but mostly we just want to see what you're getting out of Tristan, Noah, and Jace. I'm assuming that Noah will probably be totally shut down after this fourth, and at the rate that they're going, they probably will only have one other, Summer League game.
Oh yeah, it was already announced. Friday, 4 p.m. The Orlando Magic will play I think it's the Dallas Mavericks is their final game on Friday. So 4 p.m. Eastern, I should say. So yeah, that was announced.
In the consolation stage, there's not even a bracket. It's just hey, you get one more game, and then we're putting you out of your misery.
Well, that's what happens when you start 0-3. So they just take those teams and they just go, here you go, one more game just to cross it off the list, so you get 5, and that's it. But it's funny, I feel like every summer, maybe it's just me, but I look at the key guys that the Magic are bringing, and I'm like, you know what, this team's got a chance. Tristan da Silva, Jace Richardson, Noah Penda, this team's got a chance. Or even a couple seasons ago, think about Anthony Black and Jet Howard, and I don't remember, there was a third. Who else did we bring to that one? I don't know, but either way. Feels like the last few years, I'm like, yeah, this team could make a run at the chip. And then, next thing you know, 72 hours into it, you're 0-3, and you're like, well, let's pack it up and try again next year. So, yeah, a little strange, but it is what it is.
It's like the Giants season. Every year, I spend the entire, 6-7 months of the offseason, getting excited for Giants football, and then, you're 0-3, and you're like, okay, my season's over already. Everything that I got excited for, it's at least when you're a 500 team, you have okay, we won this week, we lost this week. Okay, there's 5 games to play and we're 3 games out of the playoffs. Maybe there's still a chance. But when you know that the team is just terrible 3-4 games in and there's no point in watching, kind of always makes that pretty miserable. But yeah, it's just weird that I cannot remember the last time that the Magic had a legitimately good Summer League team.
Right.
And thinking back, Jay Huff last year is one of the rare kind of non-roster bright spot guys that we've had on the Summer League rosters. I'm sure there is someone, but I can't. Nobody else really comes to mind of guys that we've had on the Summer League team, and they've been oh wow, this guy's actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially good enough to earn an NBA spot. A legitimate NBA spot, which Jay Huff has done now.
And then the one guy that we did have, he went to another team,
That's right.
So we didn't even keep that guy.
Yep. Yeah. Tale as old as time. But I for one am glad that Summer League is come and now about to go on Friday, and that'll be that.
So what are your overall thoughts? What you wanted to see out of each one of these guys? Let's start with Tristan. What did you expect going into Summer League, and did he meet, exceed those expectations? How do you feel?
Yeah, mostly met them. I still feel and again, this is just me, just watching him. I've always felt like Tristan could have a little more point forward type edge to his game. That, you know, you go into something like Summer League where he's, at least on paper, the best player on the roster, at the very least, the most experienced player on the roster, NBA wise. And I'm like, man, maybe there's some opportunities for him to, you know, bring the ball up and initiate some, and, you know, and so, you know, that's the one thing I was really kind of looking for from him. And that, you know, again, that's just wishful thinking, I think, on my part, to think that was even possible. Not that he's not capable of it, but that was even going to be part of an offense that we saw. So, but outside of that, you know, he played pretty well. Had some turnovers that you don't love to see, but outside of that, shot the ball well. Jace, we talked about him a little bit on the last episode. I've been impressed about how he plays as far as his size goes. Yes, he's short, but isn't necessarily, he doesn't let that spill over into the rest of his game, right? He's very physical on both ends of the basketball floor, which we talked about on the last episode. And then Noah's Summer League is still going. I'm actually, you know, like we said, watching him over here right now. But yeah, another super physical guy. I think he's got a lot of tools. His step back three tonight, you know, inspired a lot of hope, you know, because it's like, man, it was beautiful. But yeah, I think all in all, about what I expected. Did anything surprise you so far in Summer League for what we saw?
No, I think in which you kind of saw in the tape for Jace coming out of Michigan State, like the ability to get to the rim and like finish through contact, but it's like there's always like a different level of physicality. Like Jace on the floor in Summer League like looked small. At Michigan State, right, he looked on the smaller size, but still looked like, you know, he's a 6'1" guard, you know, decent size for a college player. So I was like, okay, well, you know, he was able to finish amongst bigs, but the size and the athleticism, obviously it's going to be at a different level in the Summer League, and obviously it'll be at an even different level, you know, going into, you know, the regular season. But his ability to get to the free throw line, finish through contact, that kind of stuff has been really encouraging. And so far, outside of like you know, Sheed from the Raptors, like those first couple of games, outside of Jamal Shed again, or Shed, I forget how to pronounce the young man's name from Toronto, but he like was all over the left hand. Other guys weren't, gave Jace kind of a little bit more space to operate. I think he's going to have to improve there. But like looking at the numbers, Tristan da Silva in 2 games, 18.5 points, 50% from the floor, 38% from behind the arc, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 4.5 turnovers. You don't want to see that, but we're not going to see him with the ball in his hands as much as he, you know, had it in Summer League. I did want to see a little bit more of that, right? Like, I don't think Tristan da Silva is, you know, ever going to be the same level of player that Aaron Gordon was, even, you know, when Aaron Gordon was here in Orlando. But in Aaron Gordon's second Summer League, we were like, wow, like the jump shooting, the handle had taken a pretty big step forward. And not that he could do that all the time, but like, what was it, like 41 points against the Brooklyn Nets? Like, we saw games like that from AG from time to time. I was hoping that we would be able to see a little bit more of that from Tristan, him take like not a bigger leap in terms of the regular season, but seeing him matched up with the quality of talent in Summer League, seeing him be able to put it on the floor a little bit more and you know, be able to just do more of what he wanted in those situations. But, you know, I'm not at all coming away from that like discouraged from what we saw, you know, from him. And then in terms of Jace here, I just had his numbers up in front of me. Where did those go? Here we go. 16.5 points per game, 55.6% from the floor, 50% from behind the arc, 1.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists per game. So we talked about some of the bright spots with him. And then Noah, through 2 games, obviously we have this third game, 8.5 points, 44% from the floor, not great, 16% from behind the arc, but 8.5 rebounds, 3 assists per game, and 2.5 steals. So just about 3 stocks per game out of Noah Penda. And right now in this one, a little bit of an update. He's up to 11 points, 5 rebounds, an assist, a block. So like what we thought like can do a little bit of everything. That's exactly what we're seeing from Noah. And the defense obviously has been the biggest thing, but just seems to have like good feel for the game, uses his body pretty well. but the offense is going to be a work in progress. So overall, like Tristan pretty much met expectations. I would say Jason, Noah both kind of exceeded my expectations a little bit. And I wouldn't be surprised for those guys to, maybe earn some rotation minutes at some point this year, maybe even outside of injury. Like one night, this guy just doesn't have it going. All right, Jace, you're in. And kind of give those guys a little bit of a leash and see what happens.
Yeah, and I think even same could be said with Noah, like whether it's, a guy like J.I. or something doesn't have it, or I think Noah's first opportunities could come from foul trouble. I think, a couple bigger bodies, I don't know if I'd necessarily call him a big body, but, he's built, but he's not, super tall, obviously. But regardless, what I'm saying, Wendell at JI gets in foul trouble, even, add in Paolo or something like that. I don't know. I think that's a route that Noah could see his first, playing time this season. And then, we'll see what he can do with it.
Yeah, I think so. Especially like, I think you might have mentioned, but as Mo is like working back from the injury, he might not be playing back to backs, might not be playing, 25 minutes a game, like right away. So, I could definitely see that.
Yeah. Hey, Jonathan.
Yes.
Do you like food?
Of course.
Do you like good food?
Of course.
Well, you're in luck because Jam Hot Chicken is bringing Jam's culture and hot chicken to the heart of Winter Park, and they make some of the best food in Central Florida, and they sponsor the show. And so we're big fans of them, not just because they sponsor the show, but because they are die-hard Orlando Magic fans who love this team, love this fan community, and you can find them at 400 West New England Avenue, Suite 13 in Hannibal Square. You can also follow them on social media at Jam Hot Chicken. Follow them on Instagram first, because then you get to see all the pictures of the really, really good food, whether it's, the box, which has a bunch of stuff just thrown in there, or the Sando, or if you like their house-made pickles or the house-made ranch, or everything's good there. You're going to love it all. And you can also go to their website, jamhotchickenfl.com, to check out the menu so you can see all the different things that they have available. They're really, really good. I promise you, they can't tell you the number of people that listen to the show or watch the show, and we've sent to Jam Hot Chicken, and they've come back saying, oh yeah, you're right, it's actually really good. And so definitely check them out on social media and on their website, and visit them in person in Winter Park. And when you do, just let them know the Six Man Show sent you.
This episode is also brought to you by 50 On Your Head, Maria, Gear 95 Shred, Jamil Miller, and Ellis. These are some of our Hall of Fame and Elite tier patrons. These folks went to patreon.com/the Six Man Show and joined either at our Hall of Fame or Elite tier level. We try to shout out brand new patrons whenever we have them. And as you heard, we shout out some of those tier of patrons each and every episode as well. Can't do anything that we do without the support of our patrons financially supporting the show, allowing us to do everything that we do. So if you're a fan of the show, whether you've been listening for 2 weeks or 2 years, you want to join in and help us keep moving this thing forward, continue this movement, trying to grow this Magic fan base, you can head on over to patreon.com/the Six Man Show. Join whatever tier makes the most sense for you. We have a ton of benefits like access to our Discord community, also monthly Zoom calls for some of our tiers as well, where we just hang out with Magic fans, give them a little bit of a behind the scenes look at what we're doing here and working on at the show, but also just talk Magic basketball. So again, if you want to help support the show, head on over to patreon.com/the Six Man Show. And now let's get back to the episode. Okay. One thing that we like to do once a year, usually around this time, as the off season is starting to slow down a little bit, you have like this, obviously the finals ends, and then you go right into the draft and, free agency, and then right into summer league. And it's almost like this valley that you have like in the middle of the summer before you start to ramp up for the next season. And we know that as each year goes by, luckily we're very fortunate that the listener base and the viewer base, like those things continue to grow. So we know that inevitably we have people that have just found us in the last few weeks in a lot of cases, or, at the bare minimum, like since the last time, we did an episode like this, where we go through and just, talk a little bit about ourselves, not too much, but then mostly talk about like the origins of the show, kind of what our goal is with the show, and why it is that we do the things that we do, and why we're passionate about the things that we're passionate about, and talk more about the community. So, this second half of the episode is going to be more about that, just kind of getting to know us, but also like just getting to know, what it is exactly that we do here. So, Kev, if you don't mind, just tell us a little bit about yourself for those of you or those of us that don't know much about you.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is always fun because, we've done this every year. I mean, at least since I've been around, which we'll talk about how long that's been in a little bit. But I think this is the first one that I've done with you, though. That's the thing. In the past, it was Luke, and now it's me. And so we get to do this together. But what I was going to say was, what I enjoy about these is even if you've been listening to the show for a long time, we always find ways to just learn something new about, each other and this process. And so, yeah, maybe if you've been around for a long time, you never know. You might learn something new about Jonathan that you didn't know before. But anyway, yeah, so basically, we'll kind of go through who we are as Magic fans and what kind of led us to this and led us to the show and all that kind of stuff. Basically, long story short, back when I was a young lad, when I was 7 years old, my family packed up and moved to Central Florida, to Kissimmee, be more specific. So
where did you guys move from?
We moved from Virginia. So
you moved from Virginia. Yep. Okay.
Virginia down to Kissimmee when I was 7 years old. That was 1999, many years ago now. And moved there, loved it. And my dad was a huge basketball fan. And so obviously moving to an NBA city for the first time was pretty cool. And so very quickly, within just a few months of moving there, we moved there in May. So once the next season started in the fall, we went to my first game and I was totally, totally hooked with this whole NBA thing and these superstars and, just the buzz of going and Michael Doliak. Yep. That was a big deal. Just the buzz of like going to a big room with 17,000 other people and cheering on this basketball team. And I don't know, it was really, really cool. And I was absolutely hooked. And so ever since then, I was 7. So like, I like the Magic, but how much can you really, really, like something at 7? You can like it, but I don't think you can be really obsessed for a while. And so it wasn't until the Magic drafted Dwight Howard in 2004, 5 years later. So I would have been like, 12, 13-ish, which is a good age to start, becoming obsessed with things, find your niche in life or maybe just your addictions, I don't know, like basketball has become for me. But yeah, so that's when I like truly just fell in love with the team and with the NBA. And so, yeah, just kind of made the Orlando Magic my hobby. And so, yeah, ever since then, what is that? 21 years? That's stupid, man. That's crazy. 21 years of watching this team pretty religiously. And yeah, I've been along for the ride ever since, all of Dwight's career and the ups and downs of that to the valley that was, the Dwight Mayer and beyond. And then now we're in this beautiful era of Magic basketball. Well, it's been beautiful so far. Hopefully it's even more beautiful in the years to come. But yeah, that's the short of it. That's kind of my what led me here to being a Magic fan and one that just for some odd reason just loves to watch every game and talk about it afterwards. So yeah.
So I have a question for you.
Please.
Something that I guess don't know about the Kevin Tucker timeline. So you were here. What year was that again?
99.
99. Okay. Mm-hmm. So then you moved back to Virginia at some point.
I did. Yes, that's a good point. I moved back to Virginia after my freshman year of high school. So for the last 3 years of high school, I was up in Virginia. Yeah. Which
would have been what years?
Yeah, that coincided with the finals run, unfortunately. So we moved there in 2007. So, yeah, how about this? This is good trivia. My last Magic game living in Central Florida was Game 3 in 2007 against the Detroit Pistons when we got swept, which was a very fun game to be at, my first playoff game ever. But we did get swept. So, yeah, that was in April. We moved back in May. And then, yeah, so I was actually up there for the finals run. And then, obviously, 2010 as well, that team. But, yeah, I came down for, I want to say 3 or 4 games that season, the 08-09 season. As much as a 16-year-old could, I tried to get down here. But yeah, that's a good point.
So what games were you in Orlando for in 09?
Playoff-wise, only one. Playoff-wise, I only came down for Game 6 against the Celtics in the second round.
Just like,
which
one
was
of the biggest games of the
it was
year.
Awesome. It was awesome. It was so much fun. It's one of my favorite memories ever. But yeah, I wasn't able to. Again, I was 16, so like I couldn't really afford to do.
So how did that work out? Like, who were you traveling with? Like, who were you staying with at the time?
Yeah, it was actually the timing was amazing. It was actually a family trip. So my mom and my brother and myself all came down. We flew down just for a family trip to visit, our friends. We had been gone for exactly a year because we moved May the year before, and so, wait, no, that's not true. We moved May 2 years before. That's what it was, because we moved in 07. The finals were in 09. It was 2 years before we moved. And then, yeah, so I just happened to be down here at the perfect time for that. But then, yeah, I wasn't able to come back. But yeah, as far as staying with people, I mean, we still have a bunch of great friends here. And I always call some of them my family. They're so much friends that are like family. And so, yeah, that was that. And then once I became an adult, you make your own money, you make your own rules, and you go down to Florida whenever you feel like it, and your bank account lets you. So, yeah, now I go down there a lot. So anyway,
yeah,
that's that.
Sure does.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, I was a big baseball and football kid growing up. Like, baseball was actually my first love. I don't know that I've even told Kevin that, but yeah, I was a right fielder for the Knights of Columbus Oakland A's. Wow. I don't like to brag. Yep. That and third base. And I was actually pretty good. And then my best friend, Will Robles, who was the original co-host of this here podcast, he was a big basketball fan. I would go over to his house and we would play, NBA Live and all that kind of stuff on GameCube. And I remember he had, I think it might have been later on, I know he had a Carlos Arroyo poster. I don't know if it was the same time as I'm remembering. I don't think it is, as a matter of fact. But I remember we're playing NBA Live and we're playing as the Magic. I remember this guy, number one, was just like filthy and was so much fun to use in the game. And I was like, who is this guy? And he's like, oh, well, that's Tracy McGrady. Like, that's the Magic's best player. And then, so yeah, I fell in love with Tracy McGrady first, but that was my introduction into basketball. And then, by way of Tracy McGrady and, my best friend at the time being a Magic fan, I fell in love with the Magic. And then roughly like a year later, he was traded away to the Houston Rockets. Well, he asked to be traded and happened to be traded away to the Houston Rockets. And I remember crying that day because I had been asking for a Tracy McGrady jersey for my birthday and hadn't gotten it yet, and knew that now that he had been traded, that before long, those jerseys were not going to be available. This is before the days of like buying things online and, sure, there was eBay, but I probably didn't even know what that was. So I begged my mom, who was living in Ohio at the time. I was staying with my mom over summer break, and begged my mom to take me to the mall so that we could find a Tracy McGrady jersey. And my mom's friend at the time, we were walking through the mall and saw this kid sitting at a kiosk wearing a Tracy McGrady Orlando Magic jersey, and was going to pay this kid for the jersey off his back before the kid was like, no, like, you can just go to that store right there. I think it was like a Champs, and bought that. And then that same summer, the Magic draft Dwight Howard. And then, was kind of like a casual observer, just like any, 12, 13-year-old is at the time. And growing up, my dad didn't, have a ton of money, so just was never able to afford to bring me to a Magic game. So I didn't get to go to a Magic game until I was already 19 years old. I believe I would have been in 2012. No, it would have been 2013. So yeah, I still would have been 19 years old. But yeah, that finals run in 09 is really what hooked me into basketball, and it just has really never let me go there. And yeah, been rocking with the team ever since, like Kevin said, because you have that great season and then you make the finals, and then all of a sudden Otis Smith is like, actually, we need to trade away Dwight Howard, and not Dwight Howard, Hedo Turkoglu, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh well, Dwight wants to leave because this team didn't work out. Well, okay, let's flip Rashard Lewis for Gilbert Arenas, and that was really the beginning of the end. And then trading Brandon Bass for Glenn Davis, and so on and so forth. And then yeah, it's just really been a pretty miserable experience that next 8 or 9 years until Franz Wagner and Jalen Suggs and then Paolo Banchero and the rest of these guys kind of entered our life. But yeah, that's kind of our background of Orlando Magic fandom, as we like to call it. When we have our patron Zoom calls, whenever we have new people that join for the first time, we always ask for their Magic fandom like origin story. So yeah, those are our origin stories.
Yeah. By the way, that's the definition of long story short, right? Because you think about it, it's a lot of years to condense into that. But yeah, that's the short of it. And
16 years.
Yeah.
Like Die Hard, 16 years, but you know, almost. I mean, yeah, we're talking 20 years now.
Yep. Long time, which is weird. I don't feel that old, but here I am. Is what it is.
You always talk about this, but when you start to get to the point of your life where you like remember kids being high school prospects and then watching them play in college, and then now you've watched their entire NBA careers come to an end.
Right.
Like, okay, this is a little bit different.
Well, not only that, but now we're watching their sons in the same cycle, right? Like, think about Jameer. I remember Jameer being drafted and watching his entire Orlando Magic career, and now Jameer Nelson Jr. is, in the ranks.
Summer League.
Right, which is just like the weirdest thing ever. That's just I hate it so much. It's awful. But anyway,
Jason Richardson.
Right. Oh, yeah, great example. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So
LeBron James,
right?
Is probably the best example.
Yeah, just not. I was thinking more Magic related, but yes, that too. What was I going to say? Oh, okay. I was going to say. So I'm like I said, moved in '99, and I'll just take it from when I became obsessed, like 2004. So my obsessed fandom is 21 years old. Like, my obsessed fandom can go get a drink. Like that just makes me sick. That makes me sick. I don't like being old, but it is what it is. So anyway,
and Kevin has literally watched every single game of the past 21 seasons of Orlando Magic basketball.
The ones that were televised, because not all of them were back in the day. So the ones that weren't televised, I didn't watch those. But yeah, that's my sad claim to fame, unfortunately. But not live, by the way. I just want to always clarify. Doesn't mean I'll watch every game live, because that would be I have some version of a life outside of this team, but not much. Just kidding. But yeah, it's crazy.
There was something else that I wanted to ask you. I guess now we'll talk kind of about like origin stories of the pod, and I have a question for you in the middle of that as we get to the Kevin chapter. So yeah, 2019. So I grew up near Tampa in Newport Richey, which you don't know where it is. So that's why I say Tampa, of course. So about 35 minutes north of Tampa, if you take the Veterans Expressway there. But growing up, like, other than Will, we were the only two Magic fans in our entire high school. Like, I remember that would have been my sophomore year of high school, with the Magic, like, going through the playoffs and like going through the Eastern Conference Finals, and like the Eastern Conference Finals being like the last few weeks of school that year, and like arguing like tooth and nail with kids at the lunch table about, the Magic were going to be able to beat LeBron and the Cavs and et cetera. But like, again, myself and Will, only two Magic fans at our high school. So growing up, definitely not having other, Magic fans in the area to talk about the team with and connect to. And especially once Dwight left and the team's popularity went down, like where I grew up, you can walk into Walmart right now and buy an Orlando City jersey. You will never find anything Orlando Magic in that area. You can find Rays, Bucks, Lightning, obviously being in Tampa, but even Orlando City, but you'll never see anything Orlando Magic there. So in the 2018-2019 season, about a week after Valentine's Day, I remember going to Valentine's Day dinner with my wife at Tasso Italiano in Newport Richey, and putting my phone up against like the salt and pepper shakers with the game on so that we could watch it. And this was when, Kev, you remember, the Hornets owned the Magic. Like, we had lost like 12 out of the last 13 times. And then what I affectionately like to refer to as the Valentine's Day Massacre of 2019, because we absolutely throttled the Hornets. I think it was later that week or like later that weekend. We're driving home from Inverness back to Newport Richey, and I'm listening to Locked On Magic with Philip Rossman-Reich. Shout out our guy, the Podfather. And the episode ends, and I turn to Carmen, my wife, and I say, I wish I had another Magic podcast to listen to, because this is like, it sounds silly, but that week was the start of like the most exciting point in like Orlando Magic history in like 6-7 years to that point. And I just wanted to get all the Magic content that I could find. And she goes, well, why don't you start a podcast? So long story short, I reach out to Will and I'm like, dude, if you don't do this with me, it's never going to happen. We started doing it. Obviously, the Magic go on that crazy run, 22-9, to finish out the season, win game one against the Raptors, in game one, in the first round of that series, and then fall in 5 games. And then as we get into the next season, like Will lets me know basically like, hey, like I love that you love this. I'm not really so much into it. And I said, that's totally fine. But now I'm absolutely addicted. Fast forward a couple of months, I realized I really can't do this by myself. Again, shout out to Philip Rossman Reich. I have no idea how he does it solo every day. Give him all the respect in the world for it because it is so hard to do that. And by, happenstance, a little, serendipitously, run into one Luke Sylvia who joins the show. And then like 2 weeks into the show with him, COVID hits, shuts down the NBA. Luke gets through that period with me. And then about a year later, we get a DM out of nowhere from one Kevin Tucker, just saying, hey, like I like what you guys are doing. Would love to help you guys out in any capacity that I can. And then for the next few years, Kevin Tucker was known as Producer Kevin on the show here. And then last summer, Luke left the show to follow some other opportunities and some other passions. And now Kevin Tucker is the full-time, co-host of the show. Still Producer Kevin, for those any of you wondering, he still takes care of a lot of that stuff for us. But yeah, and now that brings us to present day today.
Yeah, and just like thinking of the different branches of the 6-man show, like it started, before me, obviously, it started with, you and Will, and then you and Luke doing, I think you were only doing audio to start, right? And then you kind of branched into some YouTube, and YouTube was, a little bit here, a little bit there. And then 2021, we started putting every episode, or maybe it's a little before, sometime around there, like early 21, maybe late 20, I don't remember. Every episode started hitting YouTube. And then we decided to go. That was when we were weekly, by the way, once a week, every Monday, one show. I don't even remember what that was like.
Must have been nice.
And then and then we added another show, which if you are a real one, if you're an OG that's been around, you will remember a great show that we did on here called Shoot the Shot. A little play on words. I'll let you figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea was, our Monday show was the 6-man show. Thursday was Shoot the Shot. And that's when we talked about everything not Orlando Magic. So we did kind of more variety sports stuff, stuff across the league, but also NFL, college sports, whatever. And plus like other things, like just pop culture, who knows. And I think we did 19 episodes maybe.
I was going to say it lasted like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, that's about it. Because people just come to find out, people don't want to hear us talk about anything other than the Orlando Magic, which I don't blame them, by the way.
And to be fair, we didn't like talking about anything other than the Magic.
Correct.
Like, I don't hide the fact that I'm not like a passionate NBA fan, although I am a big fan of the NBA. It pales in comparison to my passion, about the Orlando Magic.
And plus, it's hard to like be a quote unquote expert about all of those things, which again is why national media is not good, because it's impossible to be an expert on all 30 teams and then add in the NFL and college sports or whatever. So anyway, we did that. And then once Shoot the Shot, ran its course, we decided, you know what? Let's just do the Orlando Magic twice a week. So we went to twice a week. And then fast forward to, when did we start when did we start with the 6-fan? Well, let's go back up before that. At some point in the way, we added like the watch party element, the live events stuff. Tell us about the very first watch party.
Yeah, I started the watch parties pretty early on, like in the first month and a half of the podcast, like by going through Reddit. So we used to meet at the Buffalo Wild Wings on Tampa Road in Oldsmar, Florida. The first ever watch party that we had, I believe it was when the Magic played the Heat late in the year. Like it was important for playoff standings and they were retiring Chris Bosh's jersey. So we actually had like 15 or 16 people come out for that. And then I think we had a couple others, and the last one that we had was I think it was game 5, of the first round, and we had like 5 people show up to that one because everybody knew that the series was chalked at that point. And then we had another watch party for the draft that year, where the Magic drafted Chuma Okeke, right? That's how we say it now.
Yeah, at the time they drafted Okiki, but yeah,
Chuma Okeke. And we had like, I don't know, 9 or 10 people at that one. But yeah, like it was always, I've just always been passionate about like, hey, how can I connect with other Magic fans? Like that was the whole reason that I started the pod, and the idea of like being able to be in person with other Magic fans in my area, watching this game and kind of like sharing this passion that, you know, in most areas of your life is pretty obscure, because it's not, you know, if you're an NFL fan of any team, I don't care what city you're in, you can find other people that are fans of the team that you like. For whatever reason, up to this point, because things are about to change, right? It's scarce to find other Magic fans, especially Magic fans who actually are passionate and as passionate as you are and really know what they're talking about and can carry a conversation, right? Like if I meet somebody and they're like, oh yeah, you know, what's Aaron Aflalo up to? I'm like, okay, we can't really, this isn't really going to continue. So yeah, that's been an early part, and obviously that's been a cool thing. So Kevin joined right before the draft lottery watch party that we had in 2021, where we won the, I guess ended up with, at the time is the way that we felt about it, the 5th and the 8th pick. And then to think what's crazy is that like just a year after that was the Paolo pick, and those two things feel like they're so far away from each other. Like thinking back to that 2021 draft lottery watch party that we had at Harry Buffalo, and then to think like the 2022 draft lottery watch party at Harry Buffalo, that one feels like it was just yesterday.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the best nights of my life. So yeah, I'm always going to remember that night. But yeah, which was
crazy. Just to talk about that for another second, like until the last couple of seasons, like all these watch parties that we've done, like we always coordinated everything ourselves, and we coordinated that 2021 draft lottery watch party with Harry Buffalo. I think we had like 100 people there that night.
Yeah.
And then like we had planned on doing it again the next year. And then what was it, like a week or two before?
Right.
The Magic reached out and said like, hey, we would love to be a part of this. And that's obviously become a great partnership that has just allowed us to do things that I don't think either of us ever thought we'd be able to do.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like that 22 one, like, yeah, we did coordinate that, you know, we coordinated that. And then, they just kind of, the Magic showed up and were like, hey, hold on, you guys got quite a lot of interest in this. Let's join you. And yeah, that was kind of the start of course it helps, you know, when it was just, again, one of the most magical nights ever. And so that kind of set the table. But what I was going to say, so yeah, we branched into, you know, like the live event space, you know, the watch parties, which, you know, if you're really, really new, you'll see we do a fairly decent number of them throughout the season. And then obviously in the postseason. So that happens. And then summer of 23, we branch into a new space, something called the Six Fan Show, which is like where we try to get, you know, fans involved. And Ben Gifford has been, you know, hosting that for, you know, the last 2 seasons. And so that was a cool thing. I think that's one of my favorite things, you know, getting fans involved, because, you know, our slogan is by fans, for fans, and we'll talk about that in a second. But, you know, just getting fans involved and letting fans speak their mind and about the good and the bad and the highs and the lows. And then same year, same season, for whatever reason, we also added our post-game lives, which is our live show on YouTube after every game. And so we just kind of, honestly, saw, at least for me personally, I was like, man, it feels like this team's about to get good. Things are about to go crazy. And so let's just freaking pedal to the metal and go for it. And that's what we did. And ever since then, we've been kind of going crazy with the content across, you know, all the different branches of this 6-man show thing. But it's really fun. It's super fun. And we obviously love engaging with the fan base and love providing, again, just as much content as we humanly can. That's the other thing I don't think we have mentioned yet while we've been talking about this. This is still a hobby. That's the thing, right? Jonathan and I still have full-time jobs. We still have families. We still have all these things. And so we're giving it literally every drop of blood, sweat, and tears that we possibly can.
And all 3 of those things are included. Like,
yes,
I've bled, cried, sweat over everything that we do here. Like it's obviously hugely, you know, massively important to us. And part of the reason that I started the pod was like, yes, I wanted to connect with other Magic fans, and I wanted an outlet to talk about the team. But I also noticed that, the team was like wildly underrepresented, like in media, like there were a few other pods going at the time. And I've known, for a while that it's just going to be a matter of time. And like once the Magic once again have like their day in the sun, and hopefully it's a really super long, like 10-year kind of day. You're going to see other people just kind of like flood the space again. And we are seeing that, right?
Yes.
Just in the past, couple of months, I've seen other like new Magic content creators pop into the space, which is awesome. I don't think that people can talk about this team enough in my opinion, but it is cool to see that now like people are saying like, yeah, I might have an interest in this team, but it's worth talking about because now people are really going to listen. So
right.
Cool to see that kind of evolution over the last like year, really.
Yeah. And the thing is we're not done. Like we're always trying to stay innovating. And we have a couple things, that we're working on for this summer and for this coming season and seasons to come that I think are really exciting. But yeah, we're I don't want to say like we're not satisfied. Like it's like we're, I don't know, out for a championship. We are, but I don't mean like us as a show, but I mean literally like we don't ever want to sit back and go, all right, this is cool. Like we're making this content. Like we're always trying to think about how things can be better, things that we're currently doing, or what new things can we try? Because that's one thing I do love. We're not afraid to try new things, even if it sucks, and we figure it out that it sucks, and we live and we learn. But we're always down to try new things, and all at the I don't want to say at the expense, but all in the name of providing Magic content and providing a shared common space for Magic fans to be united.
The expense of time with our families. That's
correct. Yeah,
absolutely always a common thread. But no,
right.
They're like if you were to go through a text thread between myself and Kevin, like there's not a day or like a week that goes by of us having like not having conversations about, oh, maybe we need to change this with the show. Maybe we can try this. Like, oh, well, what do you think about this? Like those conversations are kind of always happening. Yeah. I'm going to throw Kevin a little bit of a curveball here because something that you didn't mention. Talk about Men in Blue.
Well, long before Jonathan
it's
started
true.
This,
no, it is true.
Started the 6-man show. I hosted an Orlando Magic podcast. We called it Men in Blue, the Men in Blue podcast. I think it's a great name. I loved the logo that we made. We took like the Men in Black look and kind of blurred it out so you couldn't see. But I put Magic jerseys over the suits, and I don't know. I was very proud of that. But anyway, Men in Blue podcast. Me and a dear friend of mine from school, middle school at the time. Well, we weren't in middle school. He was my friend from middle school. And then as we became adults, similarly, we were just two guys that were obsessed with this team and wanted to talk about it. And so that was 2015. We had a short tenure. It wasn't even quite a year. But yeah, I mean, that's where I started, deciding I want to talk about this team for fun. And apparently a young Jonathan Osborne was a listener. And so that's part of the full circle moment, when I reached out to him in 2021 about, hey, I might see. And that's the other thing we didn't say. Like I reached out, I was like, hey, I'd be happy to help out at all, whatever. It wasn't like, hey, this guy's going to come on and, be a co-host right away. It was just kind of a, hey, I'd love to help out, whatever. But then it was a full circle moment. You were like, wait, Men in Blue.
No, that was like, it felt like it was a few weeks or like a couple of months into you kind of joining the team where you had brought that up. And I was like, wait a minute, I listened to that. I listened to every episode of that.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, that was a short run, but it was good. It was a good outlet. And yeah, and look where we are now. It's pretty cool. So
no, like I distinctively remember 2015. I was working at St. Luke's, the eye clinic that I used to work at. I was working in the Tampa office and like making the left off of, I believe, Bruce B. Downs onto Van Dyke, like headed to the Suncoast, listening to Men in Blue. And you guys met in, was it like a math class or?
Well, no. So the school that me and my friend Adam attended was a tiny Christian school to where like our class, our graduate, well, I didn't graduate from there, but I was there 8th and 9th grade. So my 8th and 9th grade class was like 21, 23 people. So we didn't meet in one class. We were the same, like we all moved from one class to the other. So we'd go from, science to math to PE. So like you were just with these people all day, every day. At least for me, I was with them for 2 years. And so you find some people you like and find some people maybe you don't get along with. And then you're stuck with them all day, every day. You eat with them. It just kind of is what it is. But anyway, so yes, I met Adam through being around the same 20 people all day, every day for 2 years. So
awesome. Yeah. So yeah, I guess now pivot away from like the origin story, just kind of talk a little bit about like what drives us, like the reason that we get on here and do this twice a week during the off season. Kev or Sam or Matt, one of
or you
or myself, and myself, we're doing anywhere from like 3 to 4 post game lives. Kev, we didn't mention this. Neither of us are local to Orlando. I am local to Central Florida. I live in Homosassa, but I'm usually about an hour and 40-minute drive outside of Orlando. Kev is up in Georgia, usually about like a 4-hour drive, to Orlando. So we still make it there as much as we can. I'm usually there at least once a month. The watch parties that we've talked about, usually those are about once a month. So I'm there for most of, if not all of those. And then we'll have, other events going on throughout the season where we'll do like a group night. Obviously we'll go to a game with a bunch of listeners. Once a year, we do our Court of Dreams event where we get to play on the Kia Center floor for a couple hours, usually before a Magic game, or just, media day, other watch parties, especially during the playoffs. We're there constantly. So, that obviously is a big commitment. The time that we spend watching games, recording the pod, editing the pod, doing all the social stuff, all that kind of stuff. Even though this is a hobby, it pretty much is a additional full-time job, for both of us. But really, like it's driven by the fact that number one, we love this team. Number two, we love the fans. We love this community. And growing up, even if you're, part of our generation or a little bit younger, even growing up in Orlando, you may not know a ton of Magic fans, as weird as that seems, in large part because, for the last, 12 or 13 years, the majority of that, the team has been bad. And a byproduct of that is for years, I would be at Magic games and didn't really matter, almost half the league when they would come into the building, there would be close to, if not half or more of the opposing team's fans in the stands. And most Magic games would feel like away games for the Magic. So our thought is like, hey, if we can help like organically grow this fan base and like kind of give something, people like can rally behind and try to like grow the fan base so that maybe one day the Magic will have like a permanent home court advantage just based off of like this younger generation of Magic fans who at some point are going to be season ticket holders and bringing their kids to games and bringing their friends to games and et cetera. So that's just like a small piece of kind of why we do everything that we do.
Yeah. And I'll say a little bit of something about that. Like part of it is also, I want to just peel back the curtain. If you're still here at 50 minutes into this episode, you deserve a little bit of, there's also part of me that I'm a glutton for punishment in some ways. And also in a sense, like I'm dangerously loyal, and Jonathan is too. Like I think obviously that's kind of why we do this, because we're like really, really loyal. But there's this thing off in the distance that like, man, the payoff as a Magic fan someday, if and when we win it all, the payoff is just going to be worth all of this, right? And so, and in some ways, like as a content creator in this space, I think it also is the same way. And I don't mean like a financial lucrative payoff or anything like that. I don't ever think. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's possible. Like the Golden State Warriors, they didn't have the biggest fan base in the world, before the Steph Curry era. I mean, it's a big market, but obviously they blew up into like this international, global, lifelong brand. I don't know that the Magic are ever going to be that. But like within the space of the Orlando Magic content community, like being consistent as we try to do, and being passionate and showing our love for the team. Someday I just feel like it's going to pay off, in the sense like when we win that championship, it's going to be just the biggest like just flood of emotions, and remember that one night, Jonathan, when we stayed up and did an episode at 1 a.m. after we got blown out by the Denver Nuggets back in 2021 or whatever. Like,
remember that time we stayed up until 1 a.m. like waiting for that guest that like never joined? That
one really, really important guest that was going to change, anyway. Yeah, like, remember how miserable that was? Like, and look at us now. Look at, we finally won. Like, I don't know. That there's also part of it that, like, it's that dangerously loyal thing. But yeah, what I love about it is, you and I both, doing the show has nothing to do with our fandom. Like, even if the show disappeared tomorrow, you and I would still watch every game, and we'd probably still text. And I don't know, you might like me enough to text me, after games and stuff, without the show. I'm just kidding.
Oh boy.
That's the other thing we haven't mentioned. Jonathan and I are not just partners in this 6-man show venture. We're now friends, which is cool. After
best friends.
Yeah, absolutely right. He's one of my best friends on the planet, and it's pretty cool. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, regardless of the show, we're Magic fans. Like, we're part of this fan community. We love it, almost as much as we love our own families. And so it's really cool to get to do this. And again, the sky's the limit as this team grows. A lot of fans
have become like family.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Like,
yeah.
We joke, but when we go to games, and like, we'll always, tweet out, hey, we're going to be outside this section, right, at halftime. It's always like a Magic, family reunion at those kind of things, which has been really cool. And you and I talk about this all the time, but maybe not as much publicly. Like, as awesome as like a lot of the really cool opportunities have been a part of what has made this so great. Like, I know if the pod ended tomorrow, like, the relationships that we've built, we will still be able to take that kind of stuff away. And to me, that's really what is ultimately the most important thing, because sure, like, the Magic winning a championship would be awesome. But at the end of the day, like, it's still just a team. It's still just a game. Like, the real people that we've been able to build relationships with and, lifelong friendships with, to me, is really ultimately the best part of this. Like, right, it's not even close. But hey, we're also not shy about the fact that, like, hey, right now this is just a hobby.
Yeah.
But we would love for it to be more than that. Like. Yep. Like, Kevin was really the whole architect behind the post-game lives. And, like, not that we don't put like a ton into that, but like, we're always thinking of ways how we can make that better. And, now we're trying to do some more like short form kind of content. Like, how can we really dedicate more time to that for the people that like that kind of stuff more? Because, first of all, if you're still here 55 minutes into this, like, you're a real sicko. Not only are you a Magic sicko, but you're like a 6-man show sicko if you're still listening at this point. So we understand that if we put an hour and 20-minute long YouTube video up, a podcast episode, you're most likely not even going to click on that unless you're a diehard Magic fan. Unless something crazy has happened recently and you're just a casual fan and you want to see our reaction to the Magic beating the Celtics in the in-season tournament on Black Friday or something like that. You're probably not clicking on these videos, but if it's a 7-minute video or a 9-minute video and you're a casual fan, you just want to check in to see what's going on with the Magic, you may click on that video. And those are things that we're always thinking of, like, how can we make the content better so we can grow the channel, grow the reach of the show, all that kind of stuff, because it would be awesome if we could take a little bit, less time that we're sacrificing with our families. And if this was a full-time thing, we don't have this other job that we're working 40 plus hours a week on. So yeah, we would absolutely love if some point this could become that full-time thing that would give us more time to focus on content, be it more Magic games, be it more press conferences, be it more practices, all those kind of things. But just kind of free us up to put more into that, but also it would make life a lot easier. It sure would. So we don't hide from that at all.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about how we're always trying to innovate. Like, the list of ideas that Jonathan and I have that we just have no bandwidth to do is pretty crazy. And if we were ever able to do that, I promise you, like, the content, like the not just the quantity, but the quality, like the depth of some of the things that we want to do. Yeah, it'd be awesome. It'd be great. But yeah, can't happen without you. So I know we mentioned it earlier in the show, but patreon.com/the Six Man Show is a great way to help things move in that direction. But yeah, always appreciate everybody. And again, if you're still listening, you're absolutely ridiculous. And so glad you're here in July. The only thing I'll add, I don't know if you have anything else really about the origin of the show and kind of what we're trying to do. But as I was looking at the calendar, Jonathan, if the NBA does what they did last year, we are probably 4 weeks away from the release of the schedule, which to me, like we talked about it earlier in the show, like the different waves of the offseason, that's the next wave on the horizon, for me at least, is the schedule release sometime in mid-August. So fingers crossed that happens then. Maybe it comes sooner. Hey, if the NBA wanted to do us a favor and drop it even sooner, sign me up. But yeah, last year it was that August, what was it, 14th or 15th or 16th or something like that. I don't remember, 13th, something like that. But 4 weeks from today. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
So the only thing that I would like to add to what you just said is that we do have some German basketball coming up, that like first week of August. So that'll, obviously German basketball or the Orlando Magic schedule. I'd rather have the schedule, which every year we do an entire pod, like breaking down the schedule. Like that comes out, we pour over it for a couple hours, and then we get on and we get to talk about that. So that's always fun.
Last year we did a live show that day. We might have to do that again.
We need to do more live shows. Yeah. People seem to like that stuff, and it's it's fun. Being able to interact with everybody and they feel like they're part of the show. But yeah, you were talking about like a ton of things that we have ideas for that we just don't have the ability to carry out, and it's like with more reach comes more access, and with more reach and access comes more resources, which just allows us to really get crazy. Like Kevin's got some fantastic ideas that we just will never be able to do without, the resources and the access that we would need to be able to, talk to the people that we would want to be involved in that stuff. So you all, are really the way that all that can happen. So, well, I hope you all, got something from this, at least. Maybe you learned something new about us, or maybe you just needed a good reminder of why it is that we do what we do. Kev, did you have anything else? We're almost, we're an hour into this now.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Jonathan and I host the Six Man Show podcast, and we run, whatever this, whole thing is. But I'd like to thank everyone that listens to the show and comes to the watch parties and watches the post-game lives and all that stuff. You are also the Six Man Show. Like, that's kind of the origin of the name too, the Six Man. Like, it's this just group of diehard, Magic fans. And so, yeah, as I thank Jonathan for starting this and for, bringing me on and obviously becoming friends and stuff, I also thank all of you. Thanks for being here as part of the journey, whether you've been here 2 days or, since Jonathan started this, 6 years ago. So thanks everyone for being a part of the Six Man Show, truly.
And was really like the idea behind the Six Fan Show is like, hey, we've built this platform. Like, how can we share it with the people who have given us the platform? And unfortunately, we can't have every Magic fan on the pod. It just, not a great listening experience probably, but like that's been our way of like, hey, how can we share this platform, with other Magic fans? So yeah, like Kevin said, and we try to echo this every single episode, but none of this is possible, without the listeners. Like, we do the show, but it's everyone's show. That's what we want it to feel like. Like we want you all to feel like, when we have an interview, we're asking questions that you all have, and, we're asking questions that you all want to hear answers to. So there probably is like 1 or 2 questions, like an interview that we have, especially when we have special guests where we're like, hey, I personally really want to know this. So we'll go ahead and ask that. But because we are so like, in tune with, the Magic fan community and how Magic fans think, I think we kind of just organically arrive at the questions that fans want to know the answers to. And it's just been awesome. Like I never in a million years would have thought that the show would one day become what it is. And I still think we have a long way to grow and a lot of upside still, and a lot of things that we haven't been able to do yet that we really want to do.
Yeah.
And I don't think Kevin thought when, he reached out in May of 2021 that, we'd be able to travel around the country, to different cities watching this team and just be able to meet some of the people that we've met and be invited to some of the things that we've been invited to. It's such a privilege. And like, we literally never, ever take this for granted. Like,
yep.
Is it hard to do 100 plus pods a year? And, hopefully this year it'll be 100 plus post game lives and all that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, it's really hard. Some nights, do we have a little bit more gas in the tank than others? Yes. But like, I can promise you, like, we never ever approach this as like, it's whatever,
right?
Kind of thing. Like, we always try to put on a good show, and
yep.
Hopefully that comes across. And if there's anything that you all didn't learn from this pod that you want to, be free to send us an email or drop a comment on YouTube, all that kind of stuff. And then, Kev, in a few weeks here, our last episode of July, that's going to be our Anything But Magic pod. That's going to be, 2 weeks from today?
I think that's right. Yeah. What do we say? The 30th? 29th. Yeah. The episode, we record on the 29th and the episode comes out on the 30th. Yeah, that's right.
I think, we record on the 30th. It comes out the 31st.
Oh.
I'm looking at the calendar here.
You're right. Yeah, that's it. That Thursday. Yep.
So that's an episode where we call it Anything But Magic. We're literally going to talk about anything but the Magic. So any question you possibly can think of, drop it.
Yep.
Social media, YouTube comments, email, text the number, like whatever you guys want to do. That's always a fun episode and a little bit of a way to break up the off season here. But
yeah. And before, I know we're about to wrap. Your Orlando Magic, they're on a hot run here. They're down 6 with 3:50 to go. Will they pull off the huge comeback against the Brooklyn Nets? Not for the first time in 2025. And there's he missed a layup. Okay, he's going to the line. Chance to cut the lead to 4. Man, thrilling basketball in Vegas. No, I don't think we should stay on for the last 3:42 of this game. I think we should probably wrap it up.
Noah Penda, 22 minutes, 53 seconds so far, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and a block. 4 turnovers, 4 fouls. None of that stuff really, matters or counts, when it comes to Summer League. So, yeah, if you're listening to this, obviously you'll know the ending of that game. But we're going to use this point to go ahead and wrap this one up. Thank you all so much for staying on for this long at this point. But for Kevin Tucker, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You all have been listening to The Sixth Man Show, and we will catch you guys next time. See ya.
Thanks for listening to The Sixth Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Sixth Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic!